Oh, hello. Welcome to another video. In today's video, we're actually going to be talking about Warhammer 40,000. Not Kill Team, not Horus Heresy. 10th edition 40k. And I'm going to be giving you my impressions, my reactions. I'm not going to call it a review because I don't know what I'm talking about. But my impressions and reactions concerning the Sisters of Battle Index cards for 10th edition Warhammer 40k, which released today. So let's get on with it. So we're going to first of all go through the army rules and the detachment rules. So the army rule, these have been well previewed, but we'll go through them anyway for completeness. So for the army rule is Miracle Dice. If you are playing the Sisters, you gain 1 Miracle Dice at the start of every turn, and 1 Miracle Dice every time a unit from your army is destroyed. When you gain a Miracle Dice, you roll a d6 and you put it to one side. The value can't be changed or re-rolled unless a rule specifically tells you that you can, and this is your Miracle Dice pool, right? At that point, when you go to make a dice roll for a model or unit from your army with Acts of Faith, which is, I'm pretty confident is the entire army, if you have 1 or more dice in your Miracle Dice pool, the unit can perform an Act of Faith. If it does, select 1 of the dice from your Miracle dice pool to substitute into the dice roll. So you have to do it before you roll the dice. You can't wait until you've rolled the dice and then decide to put them in. If it's a roll with more than 1 dice, such as a charge roll or a battle shock test, only a single dice can be substituted. But so it's still, you know, if you need to make a 9-inch charge from Deep Strike, it's still going to be worth putting the 6 in there, because then you're only trying to roll a 3 up to make the charge, which is better than trying to roll a 9 on 2 dice, right? And then each Miracle Dice can only be selected for a substitution once, so once you've taken out your pool, it's done. Once the Miracle Dice substitution has been made, remove the chosen Miracle Dice from your Miracle Dice pool, and roll all the remaining unsubstituted dice that are part of the dice roll. You can use Miracle Dice when a unit performs an Act of Faith at any of the following types of roll: advance rolls, battle shock tests, charge rolls, damage rolls, hit rolls, saving throws, and wound rolls. So it's a pretty good ability that will keep trickling in throughout the game in terms of these Miracle Dice. And then our detachment rule for the launch detachment, which for Sisters fans will realise this is trying to have the flavour of the Order of our Martyred Lady, which makes me believe that in the Codex, when it eventually gets here next year sometime, we'll have detachments that have the flavour of some of the other major orders. But I'm happy because Order of our Martyred Lady is what I play. The Ultramarines of Sisters of Battle, if that makes sense, but they're much cooler than the Ultramarines. So each time an Adeptus Artis model from your army makes an attack, add 1 to the hit roll if the model's unit is below its starting strength, and 1 to the wound roll as well if the unit is below half strength. Okay, so as your units get kind of shot up, you gain, they become more effective, which is pretty cool. For the purposes of the ability, if a unit has a starting strength of 1, it's considered to be below its starting strength when it's lost 1 or more wounds. Okay? Stratagems. So we hadn't seen these before. These are our 6 stratagems. So Divine Intervention, which can happen in any phase. Okay? 1 Adeptus Artis character unit from your army that was just destroyed. You can use this stratagem on that unit even though it was just destroyed. Effect: discard 1 to 3 Miracle Dice. Now it's worth saying that you're going to have Miracle Dice of 1s and 2s that aren't particularly useful. So some of these kind of things that you can discard Miracle Dice into are reasonable for binning off your 1s and 2s, right? Discard 1 to 3 Miracle Dice. At the end of the phase, set the last destroyed model from your unit back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed and not within engagement range of enemy models. That model is set back up with a number of wounds remaining equal to the number of Miracle Dice you discarded. You cannot select Saint Celestine as the target of this stratagem, and you cannot select the same character as the target for this stratagem more than once per battle. Now, that's quite interesting. A lot of people say it's insanely good because you can bring back things like Morven Val or, you know, the Triumph of St. Catherine, because these are character units, right? The thing I would say is that, as far as I can see, once your character has been killed. Presumably, the squad that you put it in, that it joined at the start of the game, has also been killed. So you're going to have a character sitting out there on their own with 1 to 3 wounds, which, don't get me wrong, it's extremely good, and you'll definitely do it, especially on a really expensive, flashy character like Morven Val, but is coming back on 3 wounds really that good? And you have spent a lot of resource to do it. I mean, if you've got 3 1s and 2s, then that's not so much resource, but if you've been tempted to discard any potentially useful miracle dice into it, that's quite an expenditure of resource there. So it's good to have, but I don't think it's as kind of game-breaking and amazing as some people think it might be. Then we've got Light of the Emperor. So use this in your command phase. 1 Adeptus Sororitas unit from your army below its starting strength. For the purposes of stratagem unit has starting strength of 1, it's considered below starting strength while it's lost 1 or more wounds. Until the end of the turn, your unit can ignore any or all modifiers to its characteristics and to any roll or test made for it, excluding modifiers to saving throws. So I'm not quite sure I understand exactly why. I mean, I'm sure there'll be circumstances in the game where your stuff's being modified and it's useful to spend 1 CP to get rid of the modifiers. I can't off the top of my head. I presume this interacts with Battle Shock in some way, but I can't off the top of my head think of loads of examples when you'll be using this. And I'm not a 40k expert. I'm reviewing these from the perspective of a 40k kind of... I played 3 games of 9th, and not particularly recently, but I'm a big fan of the Sisters of Battle. So this is mostly only me gushing over stuff. So I don't get this one. It could be very powerful. It could shake out, but I don't get it. Holy Rage in the fight phase. So 1 Adeptus Sororitas unit from your army that has not been selected to fight this phase. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll. I mean, this seems really very good, right? I mean, you know, it is interesting that half of our stratagems that we have are things that happen in the close combat phase. Okay, but this one does seem really very good. You just get them +1 to the wound roll. Neat. Yeah. Spirit of the Martyr. So also in the fight phase, this time it's just after an enemy unit selects its targets. 1 Adeptus Sororitas unit from your army that was selected as a target of 1 or more attacking unit attacks. Until the end of the phase, each time a model in your unit is destroyed, if that model has not fought this phase, do not remove from play. The destroyed model can fight after attacking all units finish making attacks and then removed from play. So it's fight on death for 2 CP, so it is expensive, but it could be extremely worthwhile, right? Suffering and Sacrifice, another one for the fight phase. An Adeptus Sororitas infantry or Adeptus Sororitas walker unit from your army. Until the end of the phase, each time an enemy model with an engagement range of your unit selects targets, it must select your unit as the target of attacks. So if your opponent does a multi-charge, you can force them to attack one of the targets in particular. I think that's pretty situational as well. So far, I'm really liking Holy Rage and Spirit of the Martyr because they're straightforwardly killy. The other 3 are cool, but kind of situational. But that's good because it means that you're not hungry for all these CP all the time to make your army work. And bear in mind, you're going to have the core stratagems as well. So it's already quite a lot of stratagems, right? And then finally, we've got Rejoice the Fallen, which is our kind of reactive stratagem, right? So in your opponent's shooting phase, just after an enemy unit resolves its attacks, 1 Adeptus Sororitas unit from your army that had 1 or more of its models destroyed as a result of the attacking unit's attacks, and then you can shoot as if it was your shooting phase, but you have to shoot that enemy unit, and only if they're an eligible target. So that's quite good for 1 CP. Somebody shoots you and kills some of your stuff, you shoot them back straight away. We like that. We like that a lot. And then finally, before we get into the actual data cards, we're going to talk about the enhancements. So a reminder that we don't know how enhancements work 100%. We know that you can have up to 3 in an army. We know that you can't repeat them. We know that you have to give them to non-named characters, so not epic heroes. We don't yet know if they're going to cost points. So until the points supplement document comes out, I think early next week, it's supposed to come out. We don't know if these things cost points. So that really changes things because things will go from being, yeah, why not, to, oh, that's not really worth paying for compared to other stuff. But let's run through them. So the Saintly example, When someone dies, you gain D3. So you give it to a character. When they die, you gain an additional D3 miracle dice. Not bad. Again, if it's free, I'll have it. If it's like 5 points, and you build your army list, and you've got 5 points that you haven't spent, I'd have it. But if it's more than that, I don't think it's particularly worthwhile. The Blade of St. Eleanor. So this is for making your Canoness into a murder machine. You add 1 to the attacks, strength, and damage characteristics of your melee weapons. And if you've lost 1 or more wounds, you add 2 to the attack, strength, and damage characteristics of your bearer's melee weapons. So you're going to have to weigh up, aren't you, a non-named character that can take this and become quite a combat threat versus a named character who is baked in more of a combat threat, right? Litanies of Faith. So at the end of your command phase, if the bearer is on the battlefield, you can re-roll 1 miracle dice from your miracle dice pool and return it to the miracle dice pool with the new result that you rolled. When doing so, if the bearer has lost 1 or more wounds or is leading a unit below half strength, you can re-roll up to 3 miracle dice that way instead. I think that's going to be something really worth having, even if it's just on someone at the back to allow you to cycle out your 1s and 2s and get better miracle dice. I think that's a really worthwhile enhancement there, actually. The Mantle of Ophelia. This one's quite fun. Basically, you can only give it to a Canoness or a Palatine. Each time an attack is allocated to the bearer, change the damage characteristic of that attack by 1. Like, it's funny and it's really good, but also I just question, like, your Canoness and your Palatine's main job, really, I would have thought, is to support the squad that they're in to do loads of damage. And they do damage themselves. By the time they're taking damage and their squad is dead, like... But also it's really strong and it will make your Canoness or Palatine a real pain in the ass to eventually kill. So I really don't feel comfortable talking too much about the enhancements until we find out if they cost points or not. You know, but certainly I think that Litany of Faith is the one to look at and look for, I would imagine. All right, on to the data cards, the fun part. So we've got Morven Val, with 8 wounds, a 2-up save, just for 6. OC2, which is nice, okay. So ranged weapons, we got the Philadis, which is her heavy bolter, right? Her kind of named heavy bolter, protagonist heavy bolter. 3 attacks hitting on 2, strength 6, AP -1, 2 damage. Then we've got a missile launcher, which either can shoot with a 2 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 9, AP -2, damage D6 missile, or a blast weapon that is 2d6, hitting on 2, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. Now let's just remember that blast is add 1 to the attack characteristic for every 5 models in a unit, rounding down. It's not like a blast mark or anything like that. She also has Deadly Demise, which means that when she dies, roll a d6. On a 6, every unit within 6 inches takes a mortal wound. Okay. Abbess Sanctorum. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes an attack, you can re-roll a hit roll and re-roll the wound roll. And Righteous Repugnance. Once per battle in your command phase, this model can use this ability. If it does, at the start of your command phase, add 3 to the attack characteristic of Philadis and the Lance of Illumination. So an extra 3 attacks is pretty ridiculous. You know, because you're getting 3 attacks extra on the Heavy Bolter, which is nice. But then you can have 3 attacks. I'm looking at that Lance of Illumination on the strike profile. An extra 3 attacks there is pretty good. You know, with devastating wounds as well, so the crits are converted to mortal wounds. Yeah, that's a pretty good ability. She's going to be pretty killy. In terms of what she can lead, you can see on the back of the card, she can only take Paragon Warsuits, I think. If you're using Morven Val, you've basically got to take Paragon Warsuits. I think she's really good. Not so much as a buff character for your army, but she does buff the unit, which is, you know, Paragon Warsuits usually have multi-melters, so getting re-rolls to hit and re-rolls to wound on multi-melters is pretty cool as well. And if you do take Morven Val, she does have to be your warlord because she is one of the High Lords of Terror, and that's just how that goes. Right, we've got the Bargain Basement Canoness, okay? So the Canoness is a really interesting one. she has a lot of options. So let's have a look here. We need to look really on the back of the card first to understand what's going on. So she's got a bolt pistol and a chainsword as stock. And she can replace the bolt pistol with a Condemned bolt gun, an Inferno pistol, a plasma pistol, and the chainsword with a Blessed Blade or a power weapon. If she has a chainsword, she can have a Brazier of Holy Fire or a Null Rod. If she has a plasma pistol and a power weapon, she can be equipped with a Rod of Office. So, really, you're sort of trying to choose a couple of different things from around what build that you want. So, let's look at the front of the sheet. So, the Blessed Blade, which you can't partner with any of the kind of utility items, is 3 attacks, hitting on 2s, strength 6, AP minus 2, damage 2. So if you want to kill people, you know, you can take your Blessed Blade and then you can take an enhancement to make it even better and have a truly ridiculous melee weapon, if that's the way you want it to go. Otherwise, you're taking a lesser weapon to get in one of these other abilities. So let's look at the other abilities. If you have a Rod of Office, each time you select the bearer's unit as target of a stratagem, roll a d6 on a 4-up, you gain 1 CP. That seems quite nice in a lot of ways, right? But it is on a 4-up, okay, but it's quite nice. Null Rod gives models in the bearer's unit feel no pain 4-up against psychic attacks, which seems really niche. And the Brazier of Holy Fire is a sort of one-shot, 12-inch range, attacks d6, strength 6, AP minus 1, damage 2, flamer. So, I think the builds that I like are effectively your choice between taking the Blessed Blade and having your choice of ranged weapon, okay, or you go for the Plasma Pistol, Power Sword, and Rod of Office build. I don't think the Null Rod or the Brazier are very good. Maybe that's just me. I mean, if you had a sort of sideboard where you could say, oh, I'm facing a Psychic army, I'll take in my Null Rod one, but to take it and then for a lot of the time for it to do almost nothing seems like an erroneous choice to me. But maybe that's just me. The model can be attached to particular units, so the model can be attached to the Battle Sisters squad or to the Celestine Sacrosancts. You'll notice that it doesn't mention the regular Celestians there. They're gone from the rules, so that we've lost. I'll spoil it now. We've lost 2 units total from the Codex. We don't have regular ranged Celestians that were just the Battle Sisters with a different paint job. And we've lost our fortification, our terrain piece, the big cathedral with the giant Sisters of Battle statue. That's not a unit for Sisters of Battle anymore either. So that's the basic Canoness. Of course, she has the advantage of being able to hold any of those enhancements we looked at earlier. We got the Palatine. So this is like the Sisters Lieutenant. Much less in the way of options. So Palatine has a bolt pistol, which you can swap for a plasma pistol. Presumably there's a points cost involved, but we don't actually know. Has the Scout 6-inch rule. I don't know if that means that she confers Scout onto a unit if she joins, or whether it just means that if you choose to put her in a Dominion squad who have Scout themselves, it doesn't make them lose Scout. I'm not sure on that one. If you know the interaction there, let me know in the comments, okay? But yeah, she can run Battle Sisters, Celestian Sacrosancts, as before, but also a Dominion squad or a Novitiate squad. And when we look at what she does, Fury of the Righteous, when this model is leading a unit, weapons equipped by models in that unit have the Lethal Hits ability. So lethal hits, I am looking off screen at a little cheat sheet, is crits automatically wound a target. Interesting. I think if I was to run Dominions, I'd run them with Melters, at which point my crits are very likely to wound a target anyway. So I think lethal hits, the lethal hits ability really lends her to being used with Novitiates, who have quite poor combat weapons actually. But the crit automatically wounding on a 6 is pretty good for them, right? Rapturous Blows. Each time this model's unit is selected to fight, you can discard one miracle dice. If you do, then until the end of the phase, each time a melee attack made by this model scores a wound, the target of that attack suffers one mortal in addition to any normal damage. So I feel like primarily this wants to be, if you're taking a Palatine, you want to take it with Sisters Novitiates. I'm not sure if they give the Sisters Novitiates the ability to scout or not, let me know, but I think that's where you probably take a Palatine if you're taking one. I think putting them with Dominions is... I mean, if you're running Stormbolter Dominions, if you're running like ranged shooty Dominions, then yeah, giving your 4 Stormbolter unit with a pile of bolters behind it, lethal hits, is pretty funny. Actually, so there's that build, right? Or there's putting it in a Novitiate squad to give the fairly lackluster weapons they're in some heft. But she doesn't jump off the page to me as an auto include. Again, I'll say this a lot. It's going to depend on points. Judith Eruta, which I have unbuilt and unpainted somewhere on the shelf. Judith Eruta. So Judith Eruta has she moves 6, toughness 4, a 2-up save, wounds 6 wounds, and an objective control of 2, deadly demise 1, infantry character, fly epic hero. So she has a Ministorum Heavy Flamer, twin Ministorum Heavy Flamer. So ignores cover, torrent, and twin linked, which is pretty good. So it can reroll. It's a heavy flamer that can reroll wounds, which is pretty funny, and all its attacks automatically hit, which is pretty good. And then we've got the Mace of Castigation, which is 4 attacks hitting on 2, strength 6, AP -2, damage 2, which is pretty solid. The Pulpit of St. Helon's Basilica. While this model is leading a unit, each time an attack targets the unit, subtract 1 from the hit roll. These will be, as you will see in a minute, this will be absolutely hilarious with Celestine Sacrosancts, okay? And if this model is on the battlefield at the start of the command phase, you just gain a CP. Right? So if you were considering a Canoness to carry the thing that maybe would get you a CP back on a thing, like, no. I think Judith Eruta is probably the thing that you want to take. And unless I'm missing something, even though she's on a really big pulpit of stupidity, there's not actually anything stopping her going in a Rhino. Not that she super wants to go in a Rhino, because she needs to be on the battlefield at the start of the command phase to generate the CP. But it's just funny to me that you could potentially put her in a Rhino, if that's what you wanted to do, when she's got a small chunk of church she flies around on. The Missionary, a little bit of old hammer here. So the Missionary has a holy pistol, not a bolt pistol, a holy pistol, a bolt pistol with 3 shots, and a power weapon. And he can be replacing his weapons with a shotgun and a chainsword, or an auto gun and a chainsword, depending on which model. I'm looking around at my models, depending on which model you have for the Missionary. I think I have the one they have pictured with the pistol and the chainsword, so that's cool beans. What does he actually do? So while he's leading a unit, the melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have sustained hits 1, and also each time the model makes a melee attack, unless the model's unit is battle shocked, you can reroll the hits roll. And you can go with Archoflagellants or Crusaders, in addition to Novitiates and Battle Sisters. Sustained hits 1 isn't bad with Novies, right? I think that the Flagellants already have sustained hits, right? And I think that the Crusaders are pretty pointless. But would you take a Missionary to go with your Novitiates, or would you want to take a Palatine to go with your Novitiates, because she's got the better buff for them? It's going to depend on points. But it's fun that he's there and he's not been forgotten, and it's a model that was in a codex in 2nd edition 40k, which is still relevant. Oops, there we go. Saint Celestine. Saint Celestine is a leader and can join a unit, which is funny because she is a unit, right? So Saint Celestine is a 12-inch range bolt pistol, and the Ardent Blade, which is a flamer and a sword all at the same time, right? So the Ardent Blade, D6 attacks, hitting on 6s, -2 AP, 1 damage, and then the Ardent Blade in combat has devastating wounds because, of course, it does. 5 attacks, hits on 2s, strength 6, AP -3, damage 2. Really solid, really solid. While this unit contains a Celestine model in your command phase, if the unit's below its starting strength, one destroyed model is returned to the unit. Now, this needs some clarification because this is a leader miniature, so I'm not sure. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Healing Tears. While this unit contains a Celestine model in your command phase, if this unit is below its starting strength, one destroyed model is returned to this unit. Is that exclusively Celestine returning her Gemini Superior, or does it effectively mean while this data card, or can it be the whole unit of, if you add her to a Seraphim or Seraphim squad, is it then the whole unit that you've then created? I'm not sure. While this unit contains one or more Gemini Superior models, Celestine has the Feel No Pain 4-up ability, which is really good. And the first time this unit's Celestine model is damaged, roll 1d6, roll 1d6 at the end of the phase. On a 2, set Celestine back up on the battlefield as close as possible to where it was destroyed, and not within engagement range of any enemy units with its full wounds remaining. Pretty good. So again, not a buffing character, but in fact a murdering character. If you want a buffing character, though, and it's important to say, yes, again, she can join Seraphim or Seraphim, and form a massive squad with them, which is pretty cool. Seraphim and Seraphim can both go to 10, so you can have 10 Seraphim plus Saint Celestine plus the 2 Gemini Superior, if that's what you wanted to do. Right, the Triumph of St. Catherine has been well previewed by Games Workshop, the front of the card anyway. The back of the card tells us that this model can join a Battle Sisters squad, and only a Battle Sisters squad. I'll go through it quickly. It is very, very complicated. So it has a rule called Relics of the Matriarchs. At the start of the battle round, select up to 2 of the abilities in the Relics of the Matriarchs section to the left. Until the start of the next battle round, the model has those abilities. So you're turning on 2 of these things, right? So you've got the Fiery Heart Aura. While a friendly Adeptus Sororitas unit is within 6 of this model, that unit, if that unit is destroyed, the miracle dice you gain result is automatically 6. Meh. Censer of the Sacred Rose. While a friendly Adeptus Sororitas unit is within 6 of this model, improve that unit's leadership characteristic by 1. Meh. Simulacrum of the Ebon Chalice. While a friendly Adeptus Sororitas unit within 6 of this model, that unit can perform any number of acts of faith per phase instead of only 1. That's pretty ridiculous because it lets you just sub in all the dice in the universe into things. Yeah, that's pretty good. Simulacrum of the Argent Shroud Aura. While a friendly Adeptus Sororitas unit is within 6 inches of this model, add 1 to the attack's characteristic of rapid-fire weapons equipped by models in this unit. Not bad. Icon of the Valorous Heart. While a friendly Adeptus Sororitas unit is within 6 of this model, that unit has Feel No Pain 6 up. Meh. While a friendly Adeptus Sororitas, and Petals of the Bloody Rose. While a friendly Adeptus Sororitas unit is in 6 of this model, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have lethal hits ability. Pretty good. I think the Triumph of St. Catherine might be really, really good, and it might be really, really not good. I can't quite work it out. It's going to be really complicated to use to the best of its ability. It's going to really encourage you to keep your army in a big ball in the middle of the table around the Triumph of St. Catherine to get the really powerful buffs, and I just wonder if that's going to be the best path to victory, and obviously depends on how many points everything costs. Demonifuge. So this is no longer is it called Ethereal Stern and Kaiganel. It's Demonifuge. It's a unit that's made up of Ethereal Stern and Kaiganel. These are Deep Strike, Fights First, Lone operatives. Okay, so you've got Ethereal Stern with a bolt pistol and a Sanctity. So Sanctity is anti-chaos 2+, which is pretty hilarious. Because remember, anti just means that on a 2+, she's getting a critical wound, right? On everything. So yeah. And precision, so you can pick out your characters with Ethereal Stern. You can use her to assassinate characters out of squads as well, which is pretty ridiculous. And then it's 4 attacks, hitting on 2, strength 6, AP -2, damage 2. And then you got Kaiganel with its outcast weapons, which is 6 attacks, hitting on 2s, only strength 4 because he's an Eldar, AP -1, damage 1. Now, Holy Judgment. At the start of your shooting phase, select one enemy unit within 12, invisible to Ethereal Stern. That unit must take a leadership test, subtracting 2 from the result if it's a chaos unit. If the test is failed, the enemy unit suffers 3 mortal wounds. Why not? And Mysterious Saviours. You can target this unit with the Heroic Intervention Stratagem for 0 CP, and can do so if you've already targeted a different unit with that stratagem this phase. So this is like a little assassin-y type unit that wibbles around in its little pair and makes a nuisance of itself and is killy and choppy and ridiculous. And I think they're quite fun. I'm a big fan of the Demonifuge graphic novels. Big fan of Ethereal Stern as a character. Should really get around to painting and building my Ethereal Stern and Kaiganel as well. But yeah, I think they're cool. Not a lot to say about them in a review like this, because the main thing we can pick apart with when we haven't got the points but we have got the data sheets is work out little like, oh well, this is a combo that you could do and we'll see how many points it costs. With these there is no combo, it's just, well, their points are going to determine how worthwhile they are compared to other things, but their abilities seem cool, so we'll say that. The Battle Sisters squad. So we've seen the front half of this card. Battle Sisters squads are interesting. So the back half is where we'll start because that's new to everybody. So the unit composition is 1 Sister Superior and 9 Battle Sisters. You cannot change that. So when the points come out, certainly I'm going to have to go rejig a lot of things in my army list because I was running some squads of 10, some squads of 5 and doing different things. There are other people online that were running squads of 20 because you should be able to do that. You are running stock standard squads of 10. Okay? Now, your Sister's Superior's bolt gun can be replaced with a bolt pistol, a combi weapon, a condemner bolt gun, an inferno pistol, a Ministorum hand flamer, or a plasma pistol. You're probably not going to bother. You're probably not going to bother too much with the different upgrades. I think you probably want to keep the Sister Superior relatively cheap, but you can also give her a chainsword or a power weapon. Again, I don't think the power weapon is worthwhile. The chainsword used to be free. We'll see if it still is. I don't know how worthwhile that is going to be because, you know, you're hitting weapon skill 4 up on a Battle Sisters squad, so they're not usually worth tooling up. That said, we don't know how much war gear is going to be free. If you think of 10th edition, a lot of our little bits and pieces and guns and weapons were free, so if they're free, fill your boots. But if you're going to have to pay points for them, yeah, I'm not that sold on them. The Battle Sisters bolt gun. So one Battle Sister can bring a Storm Bolter, a Melter gun, or a Flamer, and then one Battle Sister can bring another one of those guns, or a Heavy Flamer, or a Multi-Melter, or a Heavy Bolter. And then one of your sisters with a bolter can have a Saccharilum Imperialis. So let's look at what all these things do. So you've got a Cherub. Once per battle, after you perform an act of faith, you gain 1 miracle die, and that expends your Cherub. That's fine. It's good. You could potentially use that to recycle miracle dice if you wanted. You know, if you had a 1, you could just be like, well, one of my bolter dice is a 1 and misses, but I can spend my Cherub to reroll the miracle dice. It's not very efficient, but it's a possibility. What you're really taking these for is defend. Wow, that was massively professional, and I've got no idea where that noise was even coming from. I'm so very sorry. So what you've got here is Defenders of the Faith. At the end of your command phase, for each objective marker you control that has one or more units from your army with this ability in range of it, you gain 1 miracle dice. So, from what I've seen from 10th edition, most of the games you got like 6 objectives. I think you're wanting, if the points allow it, I think you're wanting to take 3 Battle Sisters squads to kind of stand around on your 3 most kind of your side of the table-ish objectives to try and farm out the extra miracle dice. Like, I don't think Battle Sisters are bad. I don't think they're just relegated to standing there and farming and hoping nobody notices them. They've got a decent array of guns. You're going to have a good look at the table to work out how, well, you know, you're going to have a good look at maps and think about relative distances from deployment zones to work out how you want to equip your Battle Sisters squads, because I like a couple of different things for equipping these. I quite like a heavy flamer and a melter gun in a rhino historically, because it gives you options. It's flexible. You can send the thing forwards into the breach to try and take objectives, and it can do stuff. Previously, I'd run 5 girl squads with 2 stormbolters to stand back and capture home objectives. That would now have to be 1 storm. Well, you could run a 10-man squad with 2 stormbolters, but I think a 10-strong squad with a stormbolter and potentially a heavy bolter. Because remember, heavy isn't the handicap it used to be. Yes, if you move, you're only hitting on 4s. You need to stay still to get hitting on 3s, but that's better than the prospect of not being able to shoot if you move at all. So, heavy weapons worth considering, I think. But I certainly think you want 3 squads if they're not really expensive, right? And then the Sacriel Imperialis, each time a unit is destroyed by this unit, you gain a miracle dice. I think that's pretty cool. If it's cheap enough, I'd want to take it. Novitiates, and as a kill team guy, I really want these to be good. I think they're a bit challenging, actually, if I'm being perfectly honest. So, the Novitiates are a 4-up save, apart from the leader. Okay, and they're armed by default with a close combat weapon and a close combat weapon and an auto gun. You can trade that out for a auto pistol and the Novitiate melee weapon, which is 2 attacks hitting on 4s, strength 4, AP 0, damage 1. It's not going to set the world on fire. I think if you're taking these, you want to try and buff them with one of the characters, as we discussed. Impetuous Fervor. Each time modeling this unit makes an attack, reroll hit rolls of 1. If the target attacks an enemy unit within range of objective marker, you can reroll hit roll instead. So they want to be going forwards and trying to take objective markers. They can have a banner that lets them reroll advance and charge rolls, which is cool. You can have a Sacriel Imperialis, so if you destroy something, you get a miracle dice, which is cool. You can have a plasma pistol and a power weapon on your leader, which you probably should take the power weapon because you're going to be trying to get into combat with them. You can take 2 flamers, which is kind of cool. That has to be quite cheap to be worth messing around with. I don't understand the interaction with if putting the Palatine in the squad gives them scout. Like, I think that has a little bit of legs now, because between giving them scout and giving them the mortal wounds buff, I could see them potentially doing something. They're an interesting unit. It will, I've said it before and I'll say it again, it will depend on the points costs. Astrid Thurga and Agatha Dolan. So these have been completely reworked. So first I'll go over to the back of the card. These can join Battle Sisters and Sacrosands, but also Dominions and Retributors. So Dominions are 4 special weapons and a pile of bolters. Retributors are all heavy weapons, right? So multi-melters, heavy flamers, or heavy bolters. These are interesting. So you're not really taking them for combat, although the Blade of Vigil isn't bad. 4 dice hitting on 3s. Strength 5, AP -2, damage 2. But essentially, you're taking them for the buff. If the arch tapestry of the Emperor's Judgment. So while Astrid Thurga is arrived leading a unit, melee weapons equipped by models in that unit have devastating wounds. Right? That's pretty good, right? So on a critical wound, convert the damage to mortals and the attack sequence ends. That's pretty good as a thing, all right? Do multi-melters need that? Possibly not. Do the heavy bolters? Heavy bolters would love that, right? Heavy bolters. For these girls in a heavy bolter retributor squad in your back line somewhere is just kind of funny. And then you've got Recount the Deeds of the Saints. While Agatha Dolan is part of the unit, each time this unit performs an act of faith, the result of 1 miracle dice used in the act of faith is first improved by 1 to a maximum of 6. I mean, that's pretty good. And that's pretty good with multi-melters, who, of course, have got that damage profile. And you want to be trying to get 6s into your damage profile. So I can really see them in a squad of retributors being kind of hilariously fun. Again, it's going to depend on points and what you've got and what you value and what you don't value. But it's nice to see these models be something that you might actually want to take. I think in the last 2 editions of the rules, they've not been particularly worthwhile in game terms, right? The Magnifier. This is cool. So, weapons are not why you take it. It's got a bolt, pistol, bolt gun, close combat weapon. The Magnifier basically has the Litany of Deeds. So each time you gain a miracle dice as a result of a friendly Adeptus Sororitas unit being destroyed, if that unit was destroyed within 12 of this model, you can re-roll the result of the miracle dice before adding it to your pool, which is nice. And then Stanchion of the Holy Martyrs. While this model is leading a unit, models in that unit have a 4-up invulnerable save. While this model is leading a Celestine Sacrosanct unit, that unit has a save characteristic of 2+. That's pretty good, in fairness. Now, there is a flaw with these. We'll look at this now, the leader model. So it can join Battle Sisters, Sacrosancts, Dominions, or Retributors. And then it says, this model can be attached to a Battle Sisters squad, even if one Canoness, Palatine, or Judith Arita model has already been attached to it. If you do, and the Bodyguard unit separates, the leader units become separate things. A lot of people on the internet today have misread this. Battle Sisters squad is capitalised and bold, so it doesn't mean it is only when it joins the Battle Sisters troops squad. So what you can't do is stick in a Magnifier and a Canoness or Palatine in a Celestine Sacrosanct squad, because that would be awesome and ridiculous all at the same time. So I don't know how useful it's going to be getting, like, there's a couple of characters with this exact rule where you can put them in as a secondary character, but only in the Billy Basic Battle Sisters squad, not in the far more interesting Sacrosanct squad. So I don't know how useful the Magnifier is going to be all in, but it is there for you, and it is an option, and it has some cool abilities. We got the Dialogus, so again, another thing that you're not really taking for any combat ability. We'll just get straight on to its buffs. So we've got the Lord Hailer. While it's leading a unit, that unit can be set as a target of stratagems even when it's battle shocked. It's quite nice. And the Stirring Rhetoric. While this model is leading a unit, each time this model's unit performs an act of faith, the result of one of the miracle die used in the act of faith is changed to a 6. I mean, that's amazing. That's really good. You want to put her in a unit somewhere that will make use of those 6s. Presumably either a Dominion squad with melter guns or a Retributor squad with multi-melters to try and get some of them big 6 damage dice on the melter guns, which is what we really want to see. Same thing, you can double them up in a Battle Sisters squad, but I don't know if you want to do that. So obviously, you can't have her in a multi-melter squad and have Agatha Dolan in a multi-melter squad. That's not how the world works. I think Agatha Dolan more wants to be in a heavy bolter squad. Maybe the Dialogus wants to be in a I don't know whether you want to do multi-melter, Retributors, or melter Dominions. They have pros and cons to them. But I think the Dialogus is pretty fun. And it just gives you a way of it just gives you a way of binning off those 1s and 2s. You are going to roll some 1s and 2s, and you want to have somewhere to feed them, right? So I think the Diologus definitely has play as that kind of utility character. Right, the other amazing priest from the 90s, which is amazing. So this model has what's called a Zealot's Vindicator, which is an ignores cover torrent weapon. And it can have its Zealot's Vindicator replaced with 1 auto pistol and 1 chainsword. So they've shown you a picture of the Preacher model with an auto pistol and a chainsword. What they're actually describing is what's her face from Blackstone Fortress, which has the big Zealot's Vindicator thing that's a flamer / giant chainsword weapon, right? Let me just, while I'm here, let's go back to the Missionary. What does the Missionary come with as stock? A holy pistol and a power weapon. What does Thaddeus the Purifier come with as stock? I'm suspicious. Yeah, it's a power weapon and a sort of unexplained pistol thing. So essentially, they're wanting you to use, even though they've not pictured them, they're wanting you to use the Blackstone Fortress guys in your system. I don't have a problem with that. I have both the Blackstone Fortress guys and these old metal models, but I have a feeling here, unless you get points back for going to an auto pistol and a chainsword, using the Zealot's Vindicator is always going to be better because it's a D6 attack, strength 5 flamethrower, which is pretty good. If it was the other way around, you could replace the auto pistol and chainsword with the Zealot's Vindicator, then I would expect that to be an upgrade that costs points. But with it being this way around, I'm assuming that it's not going to be an upgrade that costs points. So it looks like I need to finally paint up. It's going to come into my head. I've forgotten a name from Blackstone Fortress that goes around with Thaddeus the Purifier. Anyway, gushing about random miniatures aside, Righteous Smiting. While this model is leading a unit, each time a model in that unit makes a melee attack, add 1 to the wound roll, pretty good. And then once we're battling the fight phase, this model can use this ability until the end of the phase, improve the strength and attack characteristics of melee weapons equipped by this model by 2. I mean, you'd feel stupid if you're doing that with a chainsword, wouldn't you? Right, where the strength and the attacks would go up from a mighty 3 to a 5, and the attacks would go up from a 4 to a 6. It's not exactly amazing, but doing that with the Zealot's Vindicator is not actually that stupid of an idea, right? So this is just, I don't know why they've not put that model. I would reasonably guess that those 2 Blackstone Fortress miniatures are going to come out as a separate release. And then the Preacher can go in Arco-Flagellants, Crusaders, or Novitiates. I could see in Arco-Flagellants, to be fair. Crusaders are pointless, in my opinion. It's the worst unit in the set. Novitiates, add 1 to the wound roll. I mean, I would have to carefully weigh up. So that's adding 1 to the wound roll, whereas the Missionary is giving sustained hits 1. Right. And no, just sustained hits 1. Oh, maybe he's better with novies, right? Perhaps. Don't know. It's a shame you can't double up the Preacher and the Missionary, given that they're the 2 Blackstone Fortress friends, right? And you could have Blackstone Fortress super friends in a squad of Novitiates. Not sure. Not really a tactical guy, just giving you my honest takes on these as I go through them. Right, Celestine and Sacrosanct. It's pretty clear to me that you're going to have 1 squad of 10 of these to hang around with your general, right? Unless you're taking Celestine as your general, or I suppose the Triumph of St. Cath as your general, or Morven Val. If you're taking a normal Sisters general, or a Canoness, or if you're taking the named Canoness in the big pulpit, you're going to want some Sacrosancts with them. So Sacrosancts, let's look at them. So Swarm Protectors, while a Canoness, Palatine or Judith Router model is leading this unit, each time an attack targets this unit, subtract 1 from the wound roll. I mean, hang on, let's just look at this. So with Judith Router in the unit, you can subtract 1 from their wound roll, and you can also, like, what does she do herself? You subtract 1 from the hit roll, so it's -1 from the hit roll, -1 from the wound roll. Okay, that's not bad. It's just a shame we can't fit the magnifier in the same unit to give them a 2-up save. Unfortunately, it can't be done. But even so, you're sitting here with a 3-up save, a 4-up invulnerable save. Yeah, now, are they actually any good? It's one thing to survive, which surviving does have value, but what else can you do? Well, you've got a bolt pistol and a hallowed mace. Now, you can trade out your hallowed mace for an anointed halberd. I think I probably would. So yeah, the hallowed mace is 2 dice, hitting on 3s, strength 4, AP -1, and damage 2. But I think I prefer the halberd, which is 2 attacks hitting on 3s, strength 5. So an extra point of strength, an extra point of AP, but only 1 damage. I think I value the point of strength and the point of AP over the point of damage, but I could be wrong. Let me know. And then for your sergeant, you can have the Spear of the Faithful, which is 2 damage, AP -2, strength 5. So basically, it's just the best of both worlds, right? The Spear of the Faithful is like, well, let's just have the best of the other 2 put together. And you can also have a Plasma Pistol, an Inferno Pistol, or a Hand Flamer. Do we assume that there's different points costs? If there's not, I'm tempted to get... I'd actually be tempted to go for the Hand Flamer, in case you, you take the charge, you can Overwatch with it. You've got the benefit of D6 attacks and not having to roll to hit. Maybe the Hand Flamer, maybe it's the Plasma Pistol, maybe it's the Inferno Pistol. We'd have to look at points. But my gut probably says Hand Flamer and Halberds on these, right? And 10 of them. Yeah. Hospitaller is really quite pointless. So you put her in a unit and the unit gains Feel No Pain 5-up, which is nice. And then at the end of your movement phase, a friendly Adeptus Sororitas infantry character unit within 3 can regain up to 3 lost wounds. So why do I think she's pointless? Because that sounds quite good. She has the same rule where if you're in a Battle Sisters squad, you can have her in the same unit as a Canoness, a Palatine, or Judith Router. But you can't do that inside a Sacrosanct squad, which is where you're realistically going to put those things. So she's going to be in a squad on her own. She's unable to heal her own squad, although she does give them Feel No Pain 5-up. And then you've got to have another character that's quite close to her to run her around and get the wounds in. It's just a bit... It's a bit challenging, I think. I don't know. Maybe there's a trick I'm not seeing, but I don't think the Hospitaller is that worthwhile, based on what I can see. The Dog Martyr. The Dog Martyr was an absolutely key piece that you really wanted to take last edition. I remember thinking that a lot. Now I think the Dog Martyr is, well, while an enemy unit is within 6 of the model, each time a battle shock or leadership test is taken, subtract 1 from the test. That doesn't sound great. Now, I don't yet grok battle shock and how important it's going to be, but the Dog Martyr sounds like a bit of a miss to me now, which is a shame because I love the miniature. While a mod is leading a unit, add 1 to the objective control characteristic and models of that unit. I mean, that could be really good in certain special circumstances, but I don't see the Dog Martyr being somebody that you want to take on the regular. Sisters have got a lot of special, like little mini characters, and so far I've not really been impressed with the treatment any of them have got. Right, Paragon Warsuits. So if you're taking more than Varn, I suggest that maybe you probably should, at least in a 2,000-point game, you're going to want a squad of Paragon Warsuits. So Paragon Warsuits have a bolt pistol, a heavy bolter, Paragon storm bolters, and a Paragon war blade. They can change their storm bolters for grenade launchers. They can change the heavy bolter for a multi-melter or a heavy flamer, and they can change their war blades for war maces. Let's look at what you want to do. So I think you're taking multi-melters on these. I mean, yes, they're only 18-inch range, but you want to be in combat anyway, right? So you're going to be moving up the board. You're not going to be standing at the back firing heavy bolter. You've got the Paragon grenade launchers twin-linked, which is strength 9. That's kind of insane that they're strength 9. I'm just going to look at my Paragon Warsuits now to see what I glued into them back in the day. As I feared, I think mine have storm bolters, which is a shame because they made that Paragon grenade launcher pretty tasty. I mean, the storm bolters aren't bad, 2 attacks hitting on 3, strength 4, damage 1. But those grenade launchers are mad, aren't they? Hopefully they cost a lot of points. Hopefully we're not in for a War Geary's free edition, and then I'll be trying to kind of take my painted Paragon Warsuits and pull out the little Stormbolter nubs and push in the little grenade launcher nubs. Other than that, I like the multi-melters, and I think the War Blades are better than the War Maces, even though the mace is kind of sold as an upgrade. Yes, the mace is strength 12 over strength 6 and damage 3 over damage 2. But the Warblade is AP -2. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I don't understand the game. And I just place a premium on that AP number. AP -2 sounds good to me, right? So that's what I would go for is swords, multi-melters, and probably the grenade launchers, which is annoying. Mine are built with swords and multi-melters, but not grenade launchers. But yeah. That grenade launcher being strength 9 is kind of it's kind of weird to me. 24-inch range as well, just like yeah, all right. Repencia, so the Repencia are now the superior is baked into the Repencia squad, right? They've still got their feel no pain of 5 up, but they've got a 6 invulnerable save. But they've only got a 7-up save otherwise, which is kind of lame, as per. And then Overseer of Redemption, while this unit contains a Repencia superior, each model in this unit makes a melee attack. You can reroll the hit roll, and if you made a charge roll this turn, you can reroll the wound roll. And they have their Eviscerators that are 2 attacks, hitting on 4s, strength 6, AP -2, damage 2. They need some kind of buffing character, right? And so now I'm going to annoyingly scan back through all of these and just think to myself, Repencia, what can actually go with Repencias? Can anybody go with Repencias at all? Repencia, no. 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 There's no buff coming for the Repencia. So what, do you put them in a... Do you have to do the thing of putting them in a Rhino, driving the Rhino up, stopping the Rhino, sitting there for a turn, hoping the Rhino doesn't get shot in one turn, and then getting out the stationary Rhino so you can charge them? I just worry about them dying with their Feel No Pain 5-up as their only real defense against the world, right? Because they're toughness 3 models with no armor save. And they hit like a freight train, so they need a Rhino, but they can't charge out of the Rhino. Yeah. Tricky to use well. I know people really rate them, and people want to take 3 squads of them. Like I think I read on Goonhammer, like, I'm definitely taking 3 squads. I don't get it. I just think they get shot. Tell me why I'm wrong. Crusaders are pointless. So is this other guy. He is toughness 3 with 3-up save, which is quite nice, I suppose. He has a power weapon. And while a missionary or preacher model leads the unit, he has Feel No Pain 4-up against mortal wounds, which is kind of funny. And he's got a 4-up invulnerable save, and you take him in squads of 2 to 6. And I guess they do what they do. You can use them to bodyguard your missionary or preacher, but then... Sorry, I know I keep flicking backwards and forwards, but like your preacher, what's he doing for them? add 1 to the wound roll. And what's your missionary doing for them? Gives them sustained hits 1, and unless they're battle, no, I don't know. I don't understand what the purpose of Crusaders actually might be, but they exist. Death Cult Assassins, on the other hand, are one of the old metal units that they've given a really hilarious purpose to. So Death Cult Assassins have Death Cult Power Blades, which have precision, which is the ability to target a character model that's visible to them when targeting an attached unit. Notice that when I'm visible to, so if you charge a big unit and there's a character towards the back, you don't need to be in base-to-base contact with that character. You know, if you can vaguely see him, then you can target him with your precision power blades. You're fighting first as a core rule, which is pretty funny. And each time you make an attack and target a character unit, you can reroll wound rolls of 1, and you've got a 5 with vulnerable save. Like, I actually quite like these. I've got 6 painted up. I might actually use them because I think it's quite funny just to send them as a little squad of assassins off to assassinate the opponent's commander or similar. That's in a big impenetrable squad. You're just like, slice, 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 slice. No, yeah, why not? The Dominion Squad. So the weirdest thing about the Dominion Squad is that it's 1 Dominion Superior and 9 Dominions. So you're forced to take the ablative runes for the Dominions. Other than that, they are Sisters of Battle. They do not get access. They do not get to generate extra miracle dice. And they... what's the word? They can take 4... special weapons, so 4 melter guns, 4 storm bolters, or 4 flamers, and they have scout 6-inch. Be nice if you could put them in an immolator and convert the scout to the immolator, and you sort of can and you sort of can't, and it's very stupid, and it's one of the most unsatisfactory to me things about this index is how they've handled this whole immolator thing, which we'll get onto in a minute. Other than that, yeah, I mean, they're good. It used to be a real mainstay of Sisters lists. You know, you'd zoom up, jump them out, and you'd try and alpha strike with 4 melter guns, whatever the opponent's big annoying thing was that you could possibly get to. And that's still very valid for Dominions. I just slightly jibbed by the way you have to take 10 of them with the 5 extra bolter fellas. And then if you want to put them in an immolator... well, we'll see when we get to the immolator rules. It's not exciting. Seraphim are cool. I mean, look, they've lost the thing where they can deep strike and immediately do a whole pile of shooting. And, you know, you've got Inferno pistols that are quite funny, but they're only 6-inch range. So on a turn where you deep strike down, you can't shoot anything with them because you can't be within 6. And then they've got the hand flamers that are hilarious because they are, at least they're in range. And so you can deep strike these down and harass the hell out of some melee, right? They have Angelic Ascent, so in the shooting phase, after you've shot with them, if you're not in engagement range, you can then do a normal move of 6 inches. So, and then if you've done that, you can't charge. So you can, like, drop them down, shoot with them, and then try and run them behind a... behind a piece of terrain, and it's like a harassment unit that goes peek and shoot and flees and peeks and shoots and flees and peeks and shoots and flees. And you can have a plasma pistol and a power weapon, right, which is good. Or you can, I noticed by reading this, they've given you some new options. You know, you can have a bolt pistol and a plasma pistol if that's what you want to do. That never used to be an option, but it is now. I don't know if you can use the bolt pistol and the plasma pistol these days, but that is an option. If you wanted to kit bash it, I'm sure you could do that easily. And then for every 5 models, you get to have 2 Inferno pistols. You have to have 2 girls with 2 Inferno pistols each, or 2 girls with 2 hand flamers each. The Inferno pistols are good, but for trying to pop a tank in the back line or something, but you just can't use them on the turn you come in, which makes them kind of sad. Whereas the hand flamers are cool because you can use them on the turn they come in, but then obviously you can't go after tanks with them. You're going after lighter targets with them because they're flamers, right? Then you got the Seraphim. The Seraphim are funny. The Seraphim are funny because you can take a squad of 10 and put Saint Celestine in, and then have a squad of 13 ridiculous angels that will just kind of massacre stuff. So you can have a Sacred Banner. I advise taking a Sacred Banner. The Sacred Banner lets you re-roll advance and charge rolls made with the bearer's unit. So what you're going to be doing here is deep striking in, right, using preferably a miracle dice of a 6 to sub one of your charge dice, and then you've got to try and roll a 3-up on your other charge dice with a re-roll. That's very likely to work, right? So then you're getting a turn 1 deep strike and charge with a unit which is going to also include Saint Celestine, and a pile of power weapons with damage 1, AP -2 nonsense, right? Oh, and you include, if you charge, you add 1 strength as well, so you'll be strength 5 power swords. That's pretty nice. And you take a plasma pistol on the superior if you want to, for fun as well. So I think the things that you're going to see, in every Sisters army, you're going to see either Celestine and 10 Zephyrim. You're going to see Morven Val and a squad of, what are their names? Paragon Warsuits. Or you're going to see a Canoness or Judith Aruta in a squad of the Celestine Sacrosancts. Those are your 3 kind of potential big hero and bodyguard units that the game really wants you to take. And if you want to try and fit all 3 of them in your list because you've got the points, then you go for it. But I think in every game you're going to see at least one. You're going to see one of those things because you have to have a general, and I think fundamentally you're picking for your general, aren't you, between those different things, right? You're either going to take Morven Val, or you're taking Celestine, or you're taking Judith, or a vanilla Canoness if you prefer, right? Yeah. Retributors. So the Retributor squad is 5 models, and 4 of them have heavy weapons, and that's cool. Now, the nice thing about these, I suppose, is, if you're taking a multi-melter, yeah, it's got range 18, but the new heavy rule means that if you want to take these, put them in a transport, drive the transport forwards and disembark, you're still hitting on 4s with a multi-melter, which is pretty fun in my humble opinion, right? So it's really a toss-up whether you want to use Retributors or Dominions as your Melter Girls in a bus that's going to drive forward and destroy the enemy kind of a unit. Retributors are more straightforward in that you take a unit of 5 and you can fit them in a Immolator, which has a transport capacity of 6. We'll get onto the Immolator and explain its weirdness with Dominions and other things in a minute. I have a squad of heavy bolter Retributors. I have a second squad of Retributors on the sprue. I am deeply considering building them as multi-melter Retributors because I think multi-melter Retributors in an Immolator might be something that's useful for defeating hard targets. Sisters don't have so much against hard targets. They really need to be maxing out on their melter guns where they can. Right, and then you'd put them in there, and you'd put them in there with a Dialogus as described, right? So you'd have these 5 in the thing with the Dialogus. The Dialogus would help you get more miracle dices of 6 for your damage rolls. I think that'd be pretty good. Mortifiers, so the sort of penitent engines, but with a coffin on the front. So Mortifiers are interesting. They any number of models can have... so they come with an Anchorite sarcophagus. One model can be equipped with... One model can be equipped with an Anchorite sarcophagus. You're going to tell me anywhere on this what an Anchorite sarcophagus is or does. Gives you a 3-up save instead of a 4-up save. So of your 2 Mortifiers, one of them can have a 3-up save. Or if you've taken them as units of 1, each unit can have a 3-up save separately. And as far as I can tell... no, that's a lie. I was going to say there's no benefit taking them as units of 2. You could take them as 2 units of 1 because of the FOC. Unless you wanted to take more than 3 total. But actually, there's also the thing where if you have two and one dies in this army, the other one then gets better. So there's that to bear in mind as well, right? And so you got your Penitent Buzzblades, which you can replace with flails or one Buzzblade and one flail. My feeling is, so the Buzzblade is, well, the pair of Buzzblades is 4 attacks hitting on 3, strength 10, AP -3, damage 2. You can, and twin linked. You could trade away that twin linked for one Buzzblade, one flail. So then you're getting a flail, which is 8 hitting on 3s, 5s, -1/1. So you're getting, I guess, the flexibility of choosing which weapon that you want to use in melee. I don't think it's worth it. I think it's just you're going to stay with the twin Penitent Buzzblades myself. And then you've got a Heavy Bolter. You can either have a Heavy Bolter and a Flamer, or two Heavy Bolters, one of each, or 2 Flamers. I don't know. I think you probably want the Flamers, don't you? Because you're moving up the board, you're hitting on 3s, you're auto-hitting, you're getting D6 attacks, strength 5. I mean, the Heavy Bolters aren't bad, and it does have sustained hits 1, which is nice, but I think maybe you want the Flamers. Not sure. Actually, what you want is Penitent Engines that, as far as I can tell, I mean, what's the difference? The stat line's the same, right? The Penitent Engine doesn't have an option to take a Heavy Bolter. Instead, it just gets a Flamer. And the Flamer is the same. Penitent Flamers, Assault ignores cover, Torrent twin length ignores cover. Yeah, so they've just gained the Assault rule, so it can advance and shoot its Flamers. That's nice. You've got the same Feel No Pain 5 up. You don't get the 6 up invulnerable save, but you do have the Acts of Faith rule in general. Okay, and you can charge on a turn that you advanced. So the Mortifiers just have a little bit less ability for the potential. I guess if you're taking Mortifiers, then you must want to take Heavy Bolters on them, because that's really the only thing they have to commend themselves over and above Penitent Engines, which just seem a bit better to me. I mean, the big thing used to be that Penitent Engines couldn't access, like the Penitent Engines, the Priests, the Archoflagellants, the Assassins, and the Crusaders couldn't access the Acts of Faith mechanic, but that distinction seems to be gone. So yeah, Penitent Engines are, I think, just better than Mortifiers, right? The Exorcist. So we've seen this previewed. We basically know all about it. It's got an Exorcist missile launcher and a Heavy Bolter and some armoured tracks. War gear options. This model's Exorcist missile launcher can be replaced with one Exorcist conflagration rockets. So you have to decide at the start of the game, it says there in the war gear options, which one you're having. You don't get to have both and decide which one that you want to shoot. So therefore, because we're not list tailoring, and because we're always not knowing what our opponent's army is, I think we're just always taking the missile launcher. When are we ever going to take the conflagration rockets? We're not. I want damage D6. I want AP -2. I want strength 10. I want all those things. So, Exorcist missile launcher it is. And yeah. While a friendly unit's within 6, it gets +1 leadership, which is nice to have. And you have indirect fire, which is a nice thing to have, you know? So, yeah, the Exorcist, it's quite fun. Have one, park it behind a wall, rain nonsense down on your opponents. Job done. The Castigator. So the Castigator has Castigator autocannons that it can swap out for a Castigator battle cannon. So the autocannons are 4 attacks, hitting on 3, strength 9, AP -1, damage 3. And they have rapid fire 4 and twin linked. Whereas the battle cannon is blast and ignores cover, D6 +3 attacks, strength 10. AP -1 hitting on 3s. I think on the face of that, the autocannons are slightly better. I just like the look of the battle cannon more, so that's how mine's built. But they've got some rules. Let's look at the rules. Rites of Castigation. Each time this model makes an attack with its Castigator autocannons that targets an enemy infantry unit, you can reroll a hit roll. Each time it attacks with a Castigator battle cannon that targets an enemy monster or vehicle, you can reroll a hit roll. Okay, well that's fine. So battle cannon for vehicles, autocannon for infantry. That makes me feel better about my choice of battle cannon. That's fine. Yeah. Good. Oh, and select one enemy unit that was hit by its Castigator autocannons or battle cannon, and it takes a battle shock test. That's quite fun as well. Good. Sounds good. The humble Rhino with its firing deck of 2, its deadly demise D3 for some reason, and its ability to transport 12 miniatures, which is quite nice, right? Not jump packs or the Triumph of St. Catherine, but anything else can just get in the Rhino, right? Which is nice. The Immolator. So the Immolator has twin-linked heavy flamers, immolation flamers, 2d6, strength 6, AP -1, damage 1, which are cool, and it can swap it out for a twin heavy bolter or a twin multi-melter. Right. Fire support. We'll look at that first. A happy rule. In your shooting phase, after the model is shot, select one enemy unit by one or more of these, hit by one or more of these attacks until the end of the phase. Each time a friendly model that disembarks from this transport makes an attack against the enemy unit, you can reroll the wound roll. That's pretty cool. I want to put melters in an immolator, ideally, right? And that makes me want to build an immolator with... Previously, I liked the flamer immolator with melters in, because you could jump out the melters, shoot a transport, and then you could use your immolator flamers to clean up what was left. Whereas now, they want to both be kind of shooting the same target. I'm tempted. I've got a second immolator kit somewhere to build it with melters, right? So it can shoot at the tank and buff the other melters for shooting at the tank. Let's get on to the rule I don't like. This model has a transport capacity of 6 Sororitas infantry models. It cannot transport jump pack models or the Triumph of St. Catherine. At the start of the Declare Battle Formation step, you can select one Battle Sisters squad, Dominion squad, or Novitiates squad from your army. If you do, that unit is split into 2 units, each containing an equal number of models as possible. When splitting a unit in this way, make a note of which models from each form the 2 new units. One of those units must start the battle embarked in this transport. The other can start the battle embarked on another transport, or it can be deployed as a separate unit. I really hate this rule on a number of levels. Alright, so I want to run Melter Dominions in an immolator and can first scout to the immolator, ideally. And I can totes do that, and then I'll have 5 Bolter Dominions just standing around like spare parts, right? The other reason I hate this rule is I've already heard people saying, oh, this is an amazing rule because what you do is you take an ordinary Battle Sisters squad, put half in the immolator, and then it's split in half, and then we've got our 5-man Battle Sisters squads back, and then you can keep your 5-man squad on a back objective, and take the second 5-man squad in the immolator to another objective, and farm Miracle Dice while only paying 1 set of troop tax. And I just feel like that is so much shenanigans, right? They should have just, honestly, bitten the bullet and given the immolator a transport capacity of 12. Or 10, or whatever they wanted to do, and sod the fact that it's supposed to have less seats inside in the lore. At this point, that is the least of concerns, because now we're just putting in these weird army construction rules to try and retroactively make a transport work. Either that, or just let you take squads of 5 Dominions, right? Really unimpressed with the immolator rules. And I know it's a small thing to get wound up about, but it kind of, it irritates me on a level. It's not even that it's bad rules. Some people have heralded, the gamey people have heralded them as being really fun rules because they get to duplicate their Battle Sister squads and have 2 squads for the price of 1 and all the rest of it. But I just don't like them. Alright? That's what it comes down to. I don't like the rule. Arcoflagellants. I have put these up in the order they were in the file. Why Arcoflagellants were at the end is beyond me. So Arcoflagellants look pretty awesome. Feel No Pain 4+. They've got their Acts of Faith. They have Sustained Hits 1 and Twin Linked on their melee weapons, which are 4 attacks hitting on 4 strength 5. And if you want to, you can activate their Extremist Trigger Word, which boosts their attacks characteristic to 6, but gives them the Hazardous ability. I think ability is a strong word, right? Hazardous is basically, after you've done all your attacks, roll a dice for each weapon used, and on each roll of 1, a model with a hazardous weapon is destroyed. So, but that's cool, and it's characterful. I think they're pretty awesome, right? And that's it. So let me know if you enjoyed this video. I've been ribbling on for, what, an hour and 20 minutes about Sisters of Battle, because I really like Sisters of Battle. I don't want to turn this into a 40k channel. It is a kill team channel. It is a 30k channel. It is going to have some 40k to the same amount of quantity that it has 30k at the minute. That's the eventual plan. And still to be in the main a kill team channel. But I really love Sisters of Battle, and if nothing else, I wanted to make a video so that I could get what the datasheet said straight in my head, because it means that I had to read them all out, which means I will remember them better, and it means that if I'm getting anything wrong, or if I've missed anything really obvious, somebody in the community will come along and go, have you thought of this, have you thought of that, and that will improve my own fun with them once 10th launches and I'm playing games with the sisters. Now, I am quite keen to talk about the Imperial Agents data cards in the same sort of format, so I might do that anyway. That'll be a much shorter video, and it's much more related to Kill Team, actually, because the Imperial Agents datasheet is much more about how do all these Kill Team models that we have actually work in 40k, right? Please don't tell me, I've mentioned it a few times, I am fully aware that saying this is good with it devoid of points is like, in many ways, a worthless statement. I've tried to focus on the things that you can tell from the thing, which is, you know, if you're running this character, you probably want to run them in this bodyguard. And I have no idea how many points that element all put together will cost, but I'm pretty confident that you want to put them together in those kinds of elements. That's the main thing that I think to take away, so people can start thinking about the miniatures they have and start thinking about how they might want to, what they might want to purchase, how they want to put it together, that kind of thing. Like I say, if I've missed anything or misread something, please do let me know. That's really, 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 really helpful. Listen, your continued support and feedback is highly valued. On Tuesday, where there was a hobby stream, we always do the hobby streams on the channel on Tuesday. If you miss them and usually watch them back, I have taken the decision to put the video on demands for the hobby stream behind the members paywall. Now, this is not, yes, it's nice for me to be able to provide more content for the members, but also it's largely because it really harms the channel's discoverability to be uploading a video that's publicly viewable every week that very few people actually watch those video on demands. But if you're wondering about those, that's where they've gone. If you really valued watching those video on demands, please do consider channel membership. It's only about £3, I think. And yeah, apart from that, subscriptions, likes, feedback about what kind of content. Like, if you want me to just focus on Kill Team content, as one member has told me, if that's what you believe, you need to say it loud and clear so that I internalize it, okay? But otherwise, I hope you enjoyed the video and have an excellent evening. Bye-bye. Bye-bye-bye. Bye-bye. Oh, and join the Discord. Bye.